what we're going to talk about is how you can establish credit, things that you can do now, especially as teenagers. And some of you are adults, but maybe you need to reestablish your credit or just wanting to learn some basics about this. There are things that you can also do to help to reestablish your credit, but specifically for the teenagers that you don't even have credit yet, you've never opened a credit card, you've never had any loans. There are some things that you can do now to increase your credit, even in as early as about 13 years old, okay? Even though you can't get credit on your own, for instance, your parents or a responsible adult can add you as an authorized user on some of their credit cards, and that will start building you a credit score and credit before you can even open up one yourself when you're 18, because you have to be 18 years old to even to get any kind of credit, a credit card or any loans, okay? So once you're able to get a credit card or loans or start establishing credit, here are some tips to get great credit, because there are different levels, as we mentioned before, through the class. There's poor credit, there's fair credit, there's good, and there's excellent. So I'm going to teach you how you can get excellent credit or great credit within a year, basically. But in order to get excellent credit, it will take time. They say to get like an 800 credit score, it takes about 7 years of having credit and using it responsibly. So here are some tips. You can set on auto pay or use an app or website like mint.com so you won't forget to pay the bill. And because remember, as we mentioned before, payment history is 35% of your score. So 35%, that's the most part of the biggest part of your score, at least your FICO score. So payment history is super important. So if you forget to pay a bill, and if it's past 30 days late, then that dings your credit score. Your credit score instantly goes down, and it takes a lot of time to recover. You can actually go from having excellent credit to fair or bad credit in just one decision, like not paying a bill on time. Very quickly, it happens like that. But if you even though that can happen really fast, to go from really good to bad, it does not happen very fast to go from bad or fair or poor to really good. That takes more time. So that is one of the most basic things you can do, is just pay your bills on time. And if you have a whole lot to pay for and you're a busy person, sometimes you just forget about things. So setting it on auto pay, I find for me, is really helpful. I hate that I just have one credit card that will not allow me to do so because I don't have a bank account with them. So that's the only credit card that I like freak out about. And I'm like, oh, let me make sure I pay that on time. But the rest of them, everything else is set on auto pay. But then there are apps and websites like mint.com. I know I've used in the past. It's really good because it will give you alerts and will tell you when your bills are due. And you can also set up alerts as well with your accounts to tell you, to give you, some reminders through email or text messaging. So that's really important for keeping and maintaining and establishing great credit. And then the next thing, one of the biggest things that can help you is to keep your balance below 10% of the credit limit. That's really hard with loans, because with a loan, you have a time where if it's for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, which is usually for a mortgage loan, by the time to have that balance by 10%, that's towards the end of that loan. But for credit cards, this is a very important thing, because as we talked about before, credit utilization is 30% of your score. So for example, if you have a credit card where the credit limit is $200, then you would only want to use $20 a month. And so you might say, well, that's too little. Why even have it? Well, because that good payment history and the way that you use it, even if it's that small amount, will help you to build credit in time. So only using $20 a month, if your credit limit is $200, that is optimal. So whether you use it for gas maybe one time, or whatever, but you also just want to make sure that you use it every month, or at least often, because with some credit cards, if you don't use it enough, then they will actually close the account, and that can hurt your credit score. So it's also easier to pay the entire balance off so that it won't add any interest. So when you keep it so low, then you're able to pay that balance off instead of just paying the minimum payment. And so the thing that helps that is that then you're not paying that 20% interest, which is just more money that you're just throwing away. And as I mentioned before, it keeps your credit utilization down. And once again, because for the FICO scores, amounts owed is 30% of your score. So here, with just these two things, it hit 65% of your FICO score is based off of payment history and the amounts that you owe on your credit accounts. Now, also, do not unnecessarily open new accounts. You want to have a good mix of 5 accounts. That's optimal. That's best. That's what a lot of lenders want you to have if they're looking to see if they're going to extend you new credit. But new accounts could actually, like if you're seeking new accounts, you're getting these hard inquiries that can ding your score for 1 year, for 12 months after the time that you have had that hard inquiry. But also a mix of credit, new accounts and mix of credit, both are 10% of your score each.